Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my tutorials. In this short tutorial, I'm going to cover the concept of boolean variables and else-if statements. Sometimes they call it conditionals in JavaScript. So first, I opened up the project. To do this on Windows, I went to the folder in which I have all my project-related files. Then I right-click index.html and pick Open with Sublime Text. Once you do this, you will be presented with the Sublime. And here is our editor. So before we will start, let us recall that in JavaScript we have variables. Let us call my variable, and now we have a variable. We declare it. The variable can have a value. In today's episode, I am going to introduce you to the type of values for a variable, which are called boolean values. And there are two boolean values, only two, okay? True or false. For example, let me put true value in this variable and what it means. Okay, you will get what it means a little bit later on. Before I really explain you what happens, let me demonstrate you an example. To feel this example better, please retype everything I do, pause the video, and I'm more in favor of retyping, but not publishing on GitHub the stuff for you to copy paste, because while you retype, you really feel that, you really understand it better, and that benefits you, okay? So let's start. Let's start by having our div. We have a div here, which is called hello world, and it has the text hello world. Let's delete the text. And now we have only our div, and we already attached JavaScript and CSS to this file. For this tutorial, we do not need our CSS, but let's make the text brown just for the purpose of demonstration. Save it. Now we deleted hello world. So when we open our index, we should see nothing. And by the way, we should see nothing in our index. Okay. As you can see here, there is nothing, just by world, and that is because we did not save our version of the JavaScript. Now save it, refresh, and we have hello world. So I believe we should save the index.html as well. Okay, refresh now, and now we have nothing here. Okay, so let's go to JavaScript. We are creating a variable here. Let me type some piece of code, and you will get what it means later on. So what I'm doing in this line is I'm picking up the HTML element, this one, and saving it to this variable. So here I'm picking it from the DOM, from our document, meaning from over here, and saving it into a variable. Now I'm creating another variable. Let me call it my string. Its type is obviously will be string. So let's type in this string. Oh, I think we don't even need a string to demonstrate an example. So let me now type something and I will explain what it means. So let's type if my variable else, and in my variable I type hello world.text content is equal my variable is true. And here I put my variable is false. I will save it, and now once I refresh it, I see my variable is true. So let us cover this piece of code bit by bit. In the first line, we are creating a variable of the boolean type, and the boolean type can be true or false. We are creating a boolean variable which holds true value. Then we are picking hello world div DOM element from our document using ID, this one. After that, we check if our variable is true, and if it is true, we're executing this piece of code. And we are totally missing this piece of code. We are going below over here, and our program just finishes. And if our variable would be false, then this statement over here wouldn't be executed, and instead else statement would be executed. So let me demonstrate it. Let me put false here, save the main.js file, and let us update. And now we should see main variable, my variable is false. And as you can see here, that is the case. Okay, so I believe most of you felt already what is going on here, but for those who are still not getting what is happening, that is fine, I will explain once more here. So here in the first line we are creating a variable of type boolean, and we are assigning it a value of false. Then we are picking the element from the HTML in order to manipulate it, and we will manipulate it later by setting the text content of the HTML element. And before setting it, we are checking if my variable is true, execute this piece of code, and if my variable is false, execute this piece of code. So that is a standard pattern. You check for something using if statement, and to use if statement you should type exactly what I typed here. I mean, you cannot type if in uppercase letters because JavaScript is case sensitive, so everything you see can be typed in the same manner, I mean in the same case. And JavaScript ignores spaces, so don't worry about putting or deleting the space over here. That is fine, that is just your own style, whether or not you prefer to put spaces. Okay. So if else statements means when we reach if statement, we check for the boolean condition over here, and if boolean condition is true, we execute this piece of code, and if boolean condition is false, we execute the piece of code in the else statement. That is very basic explanation. Later on you will understand that there are a little bit different approaches to developing if-else statement, because we also have else if and switch statements, but that is not very important for you, I suppose, because if you just grasp the idea of this concept I showed you here, you will get else if statements and switch statements in no time. So I think that it is not necessary to explain them right here, because the main purpose of this tutorial to introduce you to the type boolean in JavaScript. I mean, you can have false and true values. That is the thing you should got from this tutorial. And another thing for me to show is that by having a boolean type, we can manipulate if-else statements, and we can decide which code to execute depending on the condition. And that is only one application of boolean variables. You can use them in other places as well. But this application is very important because if-else statement is a fundamental block of almost any programming language, and JavaScript is no exception. So if I put here true, I will execute again this part of code. Let's save JavaScript. And this part of code, which is executed if my variable is true, will set the text content, meaning will type text inside here to my variable is true. So when we open our HTML, the script will be run, and it will create a variable and set it to true. We'll extract the hello world div, this div, and set a text content with the text content property to this text. My variable is true because my variable is actually true, and the statement and the piece of code in if statement will be executed, and the piece of code in else statement will be ignored. But if our variable, my variable, would be false, the piece of code in if part of the statement would be ignored, and in the else statement it would be executed. So before we move to the next topic, what I propose you is to watch my videos again if you forgot something, and by having all the knowledge you can get from my videos, create something which will be your own, your unique. And I think we have enough knowledge to create at least something. You can, for example, you can create, you can just type a text. You can just type one line of text, second line of text, and more, and you can output some numbers, some results of mathematical expressions to the window. Maybe do some cool stuff, guys. That is up to you. Just try it on your own. Try to create something which will be your own, your unique, with the tools I provided you already. So thank you guys for watching. That was the tutorial about if-else statements. In the next tutorial, I think we will start covering the loops in JavaScript because they are very important for our future development. So that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave comments, likes, and constructive comments. I will be glad to change my tutorials in a way which will be more convenient, more I don't know, more beautiful for you. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.